welcome back. We're in the pre-foreclosure class in the Propelio.com Academy. We're going to be talking about Concierge today. We have gone through, we've worked with the banks, the trustees, we've worked with the sellers on the title side of getting to the closing, but we've left and we need to discuss on its own you becoming the seller's concierge, because the seller is more often than not going to be the hiccup that prevents you from getting to closing. Controlling and managing that seller's timelines and activities is extremely important, and that's what's going to bring us into this class today. Congratulations, you are now a certified babysitter. You will need to be following up with this seller hourly, daily, constantly, driving to them, picking them up, shuttling them around town, finding them movers, packing for them, doing whatever you have to do. But this seller is almost always, it is sad to say, almost always going to need you to hold their hands. That literally means if you know that they're coming up on a closing on Friday, you show up to their house on Monday, you walk in and you see that nothing's been done, that's when you need to put on those moving gloves and say, you know what? We need to find you somebody to come over here and pack. We need to get you a dumpster. We need to get you this. We need to get you that. You need to stay on top of this seller and making sure that they are being aware of this timeline, getting them packed, getting them ready to move. You need to help them locate some place to go. You would think that this person is aware that they're selling their house in 2 weeks, that they need to take these actions. You're going to find out that this is not the case. You need to be prepared to handle all of this form, and that's why I say it's so important to have a transaction coordinator on your team in this foreclosing aspect of the business. Be prepared during this time to get all Jerry Springer with this. I mean, you're gonna see some drama. I remember one time where I showed up on an appointment just to find out that the owner of the property was the father of the tenant. So the tenant moved in, her and her fiance, and they were paying rent to her father, just to find out that her father was not paying the bank. So the tenant, being the daughter, was unaware that this was occurring, and he was trying to hide it from his daughter that he was using her payments to use for whatever reason he had, but he wasn't using it to pay the mortgage. Needless to say, there was some people upset there, so much so that chairs started coming through the front windows of houses, gasoline was being poured around, screaming, yelling, fighting, kicking, cops, all of it. You will run into this in real estate in general, but when you start getting into foreclosures, it happens a little more often. So you need to put on your therapy hat and get to go into town. Just remember that as all of this is going on, is that you don't get paid if it doesn't get to closing. I know that the last slide was talking about getting it to closing, but we really need to just settle down and just talk about the sellers, deal with it, figure out how to make these people get across the finish line, because if you don't, it doesn't happen. To get this to happen, it's going to require constant daily phone calls between everybody. Sellers, banks, trustees, lien holders, title companies, everybody involved to make this across the finish line. Surveyors, contractors, end buyers, whoever's involved with this transaction, you will need to be just the spinning plate master. Some things that might help you out through this process is the use of a courier. Having couriers deliver, pick up, and drop off documents between the seller, between the title companies, between all parties involved. Couriers can save your world as you're getting closer to the end of the day, but you need to keep everyone up to date. Absolutely everyone up to date. I've said this 1,000 times because regardless, if you're new at this, you're going to see one day where you missed out keeping someone up to date, and it's going to hurt you. So I have to really just drive it in hard and harder because it is that important. So this was a very short period. Go ahead and drop some of your crazy experiences in the comments below of, phone calls you've had with sellers, times you showed up to houses to find out that the situation you were prepared for did not end up being the situation that you expected. Just open up that conversation. Let's see what some of those horror stories are that you've seen with these sellers happen before. So any questions, hit us up. Thank you for tuning into this specific one. I know it was short, but we're going to move on to the next one, which is the advanced classes.